Hey, Warren Eckstein here. I'm working on a brand new topic for the show, but before I even get it on the air, I want to talk to you guys about it. It's basically a pretty simple premise. Are you setting up your pets for failure? Maybe you don't think so, but maybe you are. I want to share this with you. It's so critical. I'm still in the process of writing it, so I'm going to take my notes with you. Why do so many people, they go and adopt a dog, whether it be an older dog or a younger dog. They adopt a cat, an older cat or a younger cat. And after a week or so with the puppy, he's still peeing in the house, or maybe the cat is scratching, or the older dog is suffering with separation anxiety. People get so frustrated, so disappointed, and often very angry when their dogs and cats don't become rin tin tin in a matter of a week. And so what they start doing is they start overly correcting their dog or their cat. No for this, don't do that. Let's say, for example, they have a dog. A prime example. Let's say you have a dog and you take your dog for a walk and he's not really thrilled around other dogs. So there's a couple of different approaches you can take. Number one is counter conditioning, which is really important. But very often when you've rescued a dog or you have a younger puppy and they have this fear or this anxiety or this stress about being around other dogs, many trainers and behaviorists, a lot of people in my field will say, here's how you resolve it. You got to take them there and you got to let them get over it. Well, if you take your dog consistently to a place where he's not comfortable or she's not comfortable, what you're really doing is setting them up for failure because they're not going to respond properly the way you want them to respond. So therefore, all they're going to hear is, no, bad dog, phooey, can't you do better than that? It's the same thing for people that have a cat. And the cat is one of those cats that likes to explore. Cats are nomadic by nature. And rather than give the cat enough mental stimulation, what they'll do is very often they'll just constantly yell at the cat or set things up so the cat can't do certain things. That's not a resolution. Let's be realistic. If you have a dog that is not comfortable around other dogs, the worst thing you can do is flood the dog with other dogs because he's not going to react properly. You have to do it gradually. But some people say, no, you got to take the dog. He's got to get used to it. I hear that all the time. He's got to get used to it. Yeah, a little bit at a time, not all at one time. You know, one of my biggest frustrations as a behaviorist and trainer for a lot of years and having worked with over 40,000 animals is to see an owner or guardian, I like the term guardian, to see a guardian get so angry and frustrated because their dog is pulling them down the block. And when I stop and ask them, have you ever taken the opportunity to figure out why your dog is pulling? Or perhaps, have you taken the opportunity to educate your dog not to pull? Here's the key. If you want a dog that's positive, if you want a cat that's positive, there are things you can do. Let me give you a sample of what I just showed. Setting up your dog or cat for success. What I really mean is just setting up realistic goals and understanding that we as guardians need to help our pets out by staying consistent and having fun. Not everything for your dog is a job. Let him sniff, let him do this, let him do that. Education is critical, but education should be fun. Have you ever gone to a class when you were going to school and you had a teacher that was boring and frustrating? And you didn't learn the same amount you would learn if that same teacher was more exciting? Well, it's the same thing for our dogs. So if you have a new dog or a new cat, I want you to make sure you take the time to set them up for positive, not for negative. If you're constantly telling them, no, don't do this, no, don't do that, no, don't do this, no, don't do that, I often joke, dog comes thinking that's his name. No. Take the time to expose, socialize, and educate. Some people use the word training, I do, and some people use the word educate. I use both. If you take the time to socialize a dog or a cat, if you take the time to educate them, and they're getting more positive attention for being good than negative attention for being bad, why be bad? It's really kind of that simple. You know, bright kids react the same way. Very often, dogs will respond the same way children do. If they'll respond to attention. Doesn't bother them so much if it's negative or positive. And if they're getting more attention for being bad, they're going to be consistently bad because that's what they want. They want your attention. So what you need to do is take the time, set your dog up, set your cat up for a positive relationship. Take the time to teach them. Spend time just kind of hanging out with them. Spend time bonding. And the most important thing you need to do as a pet guardian to set your dogs and cats up for positive relationships is understand them. I get this all the time. Well, I don't understand it, Warren. You know, I had a dog for 10 years and I'd walk him on a leash and he'd see another dog and he was perfect. Now I got this dog, I've had him for 6 months and I can't take him for a walk because he schleps me down the block no matter what's going on. Is it the dog's fault? Is it the guardian's fault? Has the dog been exposed properly? Has the dog been educated? Is the dog getting more attention for being bad than for being good? These are things you as a good pet guardian need to take into consideration. And if you're working with a trainer or behaviorist, make sure they take that into consideration as well. First thing I do, and I'm not doing that much training anymore, but the first thing I do as a trainer or behaviorist, if I were to come to your home, not doing it anymore, but if I were to come to your home, the first couple of hours, and I would spread it over a period of time, days, the first couple of hours is no training, is no education. It's for me to observe what you're doing. Are you setting your pets up for failure? Is one person telling the dog to jump up and the other person telling the dog to get down? Then the dog calls me and says, hey, Warren, isn't that the definition of neurosis? Continuity is really critical. The biggest behavioral issues I run into is when one person in the family says one thing and another person says something else. How many times have I heard that the husband says to the dog, jump up, I'm going to share my snack with you on Super Bowl. And the wife says, I don't want the dog on the couch. What's the poor dog supposed to do? Set up certain procedures. Set your dog or your cat up to win, not to lose. Look at the positive side about it. If they have a scenario, maybe your cat is scratching, you're not going to stop the cat from scratching, but you can teach the cat what's good to scratch on and what they shouldn't not scratch on. If you have a dog that has a housebreaking problem or a chewing problem, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of crates. I understand everyone should have one in their home for emergencies, and some people swear by them, and that's okay if you want to use them. But how many times have I heard on my radio show, and I talk to tens of thousands of people a week, how many times have I heard people specifically saying that when my dog does something wrong, or when my dog is too active, or when people come over, I might put my dog in the crate? What have you just done? The dog's getting a negative reaction when you really want him to behave well in that situation. Big mistake. Let me stop here. I'm still working on this. I can go on forever and ever and ever. Please remember one thing. Dogs and cats are no different than we are. They can learn, you can educate them, but you need to be positive. And anyone who tells you that adversive training or negative reactions to your dog or cat is bad, that person is bad. If you spend more time positives, more time hugging, more time kissing, more time building up your pet's self-image and confidence, I said it, building up your pet's self-image and confidence, you will have that relationship that you want. And don't compare this new dog or this new cat to the dog or cat you had a year, 2, 5 years ago as a child. It's like comparing me to my sister. If we stood together and we spoke for 5 minutes, you wouldn't think we had any related DNA. Just the way it is. So remember, set your pets up for a positive life. Don't set them up for failure. You'll be happier, you'll be more confident, and you know what? So will your dogs and cats. And never miss the Pet Show. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free, youtube.com/Warren Eckstein. Hope to talk to you more. I'm going to go a little bit further on this in the future. I'm going to talk about a couple of different things, especially for cat guardians out there, how to build up your cat self-confidence, how to build up your cat self-image, one of the biggest mistakes feline guardians have. Until then, give them all a big hug and a kiss for you, one between the ears for me.